Women in this country are saying life is not fair to me. She's the one who made it that way.
This is how desperate Fox is right now. You have Kellyanne Conway going on as a guest, and other guests like that saying things like, women in this country are saying life is not fair to me. Kamala Harris is the one that made it that way. Maybe that's what you want them to say, but most people I talk to say that Donald Trump took away our fundamental freedoms and Donald Trump's a sexual predator. Anyway, Kellyanne Conway goes on to say, you see, what makes Donald Trump so special is that he did multiple parallel tracks at his rallies, and he's speaking to so many different audiences. I don't know what, the crazy and the crazier? Here, play the clip.
It's more about her vision. Elections are about the future, not the past. She was stuck in the past and yet telling us clearly, quote, I'm not Joe Biden. How does he do it? Donald Trump, I think, is very good about having two parallel tracks at the same time when he speaks at rallies, in podcasts, in television interviews, on Truth Social, you know it. You name it. He led what I call the democratization of information. We always know what's on his mind. In the White House where I worked, we always knew who was in charge, who was the president. If you don't like all that, tune it out.
Then, get this, Kellyanne Conway's take on the debate is, I know lots of people think that Vice President Kamala Harris won, but she was just being too mean to him. She was calling him names. Here, play the clip.
I'm in a political witness protection program away from Joe Biden, and I'm emerging as this fresh face. Okay, so what do you stand for? She failed to press that case on Tuesday night. I know people think she somehow, quote, won because she wanted to needle Donald Trump and say we got to stop name calling, and proceeded to call him names and rehash many things that have been debunked many times over. That means that she's the one who lost an opportunity to tell us.
Okay, and then the propaganda accelerates, though, last night. Then Fox has on Marco Rubio, MAGA Republican senator from Florida, who got emasculated by Donald Trump during his primary. And then Marco Rubio says, you know what? I think Donald Trump losing actually helped him. I think that was actually a good thing for him to look like that. Play this clip.
So it was really a poorly run debate. But, I think it helps Trump. People see this, and it reaffirms in their mind just how much outlets like ABC News and others hate President Trump and want him to lose, and every chance they get to put their thumbs on the scale, they do it.
Just watch. And that's the thing when you're so untethered from reality like that. I mean, why can't you just say he had a very bad debate? He looked horrible. He talked about eating cats and dogs and other very dangerous and strange things. It was the least presidential thing imaginable. Forget presidential. Anyone who behaved like that at any position in any company, big, small, medium-sized, nonprofits, would get fired if you behaved that way. So why are you pretending? Why are you gaslighting we the people? Oh, well, then you have the gaslighter in chief, Mark Levin. That's how he talks. Mark Levin's like the biggest propagandist that there is, even more so than Kellyanne Conway. And he goes, look, Trump was Trump. That was what was great. Trump was Trump. Play this clip.
America, the debate last week, Victor Davis Hanson, Trump was Trump. And that's a win for Trump. Substantively, people know where he stands. They know where he stands when it comes to communication and so forth and so on. And when it comes to Kamala Harris, the media keeps saying she won a debate in which she has been seen to have lied at least 25 times. She was smirking like she has some kind of a nerve issue. You could see that it was all a production, a Hollywood production and so forth.
Trump was Trump. You mean he was completely untethered from reality? He behaved like an actual psychopath, and you all think that's good? You all think that that should be the leader of your political party? Again, it's so bizarre. And here Mark Levin says again, look, Trump won the debate, and his rationale is, he goes, because Trump was Trump and Kamala was Kamala. Huh? Play the clip.
Donald Trump won that debate because he was Donald Trump. Kamala Harris lost that debate because she was Kamala Harris.
Okay, so Trump was Trump, Kamala was Kamala. Okay, well, here's Donald Trump at a recent event that he gave where he said, this was in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he says, a Latin music star named Nicky Jam, she's really hot. She's so hot. And she supports me right now. Here, the one thing, though, is Nicky Jam is a guy. Here, play this clip, though.
Latin music superstar Nicky Jam. Do you know Nicky? She's hot. Where's Nikki? Where's Nikki? Thank you, Nikki. Great to be having you here. Now you have to get, oh, look. Come here. Come here. I'm glad he came up.
Okay, so that's Trump being Trump. And on the other hand, this is Vice President Kamala Harris from last night speaking at an award ceremony. Play this clip.
We actually have a plan for health care, not just concepts of a plan.
So on the one hand, someone actually has a plan for things like healthcare. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump bragging about an endorsement from a musician, Mal, and saying she's hot, she's hot. So then they have on Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump's campaign spokesperson, and they ask Caroline Leavitt about Laura Loomer. And they're saying, so tell us about, Trump's support of Laura Loomer. What's going on there? And then Caroline Leavitt lies. Play this clip.
Social media feeds have been inundated with remixes of his comments about, this fringe claim that Haitian immigrants are eating pets in Ohio. That was evidently brought to his attention by this figure, Laura Loomer, who has promoted this theory. He's been hanging around with her. How close is Trump to Laura Loomer, and why is he bringing her around with him?
Well, as President Trump said yesterday, this individual does not work for the campaign. She's simply a supporter of the president, and he doesn't agree with everything she said. He doesn't agree with everything that all of his supporters said. He is building a big tent movement, being supported by people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. And while they don't all agree on everything, they agree on the most important thing, and that is ensuring Kamala Harris cannot be elected as president of the United States, considering she is a radical liberal. And I'm glad you brought up healthcare, Jackie, because I'd love your audience to know where Kamala Harris stands on that issue. She supports a socialist takeover of our healthcare system, supporting Bernie Sanders' socialist Medicare for all, which would cost taxpayers $32 trillion. Kamala Harris also wants to give amnesty to the nearly 20 million illegal people that she's allowed into this country, which will absolutely devastate and crumble our healthcare system. And she wants to make taxpayers fund transgender surgeries for illegal immigrants. Those are radical positions. She does not deserve to be elected president of the United States. The American people will make that clear on November 5th.
We did hear the former president try to distance himself from Laura Loomer, but he didn't denounce any specific statements that she's made. She once called 9/11 an inside job. He brought her to a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. She said that if Harris wins the election, the White House will smell like curry. That's a racist joke about Harris's Indian heritage. J.D. Vance's wife is Indian. I mean, does he denounce those statements specifically?
President Trump denounced those statements yesterday when he said he does not agree with all of the comments that this individual has made. President Trump went to the 9/11 ceremony to honor those lives that have been that were taken from us on that fateful day, to honor their families. He showed up to a fire station in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and was greeted with enormous applause, by the way, by the family members of those firefighters who were lost on 9/11, while Kamala Harris was not given the same reception. And so again, Americans understand where President Trump stands on the issues. They know that he is the best candidate in this election. And I think it's pitiful that the media is constantly asking questions like this of President Trump, but not asking Kamala Harris if she agrees with all the statements made by her supporters, like maybe Vladimir Putin, who recently endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Does she agree with him? Does Kamala Harris agree with her own running mate, Tim Walz, putting tampons in women's bathrooms in public schools? She needs to be asked those questions as well if President Trump is going to be held to this ridiculous standard.
Well, if it's a ridiculous standard, I mean, there are members of the Republican Party who have voiced a lot of concern about her presence on the president's campaign. From Republican Senators Lindsey Graham, Tom Tillis, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Should we expect then, given what you just told me, that we won't be seeing any more of Laura Loomer on the campaign trail with President Trump?
Look, as I said repeatedly now, President Trump does not agree with all of the statements that were made by this individual. President Trump has been building the most diverse political movement that this country has ever seen. He has unified the Republican Party. And the great thing about Republicans, Jackie, is that we can share when we disagree with one another, but we still understand the bigger picture and that we cannot afford to have Kamala Harris be president of the United States. Unlike the Democrats who try to censor and silence anyone who disagrees with them, as evidenced by big tech censorship of President Trump, and also as evidenced by their lawsuits against RFK Jr. to try to keep him off of the ballot, and their attempts to keep President Trump off of the ballot by waging political lawfare against him. So while we don't agree with everything that everyone says all of the time, we understand that we have a country to save, and Kamala Harris is a dangerous liberal, and she should not be president of the United States.
Is that a no? That Laura Loomer won't be traveling?
I will leave it to President Trump, but as I have...
You think she's just some random supporter? Really, Caroline Levitt? And again, let me just show you the lies that they do. So if Laura Loomer was some random supporter, then why would Donald Trump at all of his rallies up until now say this?
She's actually...
That's my song. That says Trump 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The great Laura Loomer. Some of you know Laura. She's a fantastic person, great woman.
Do you want a better way to simplify finance operations for your business across expenses, vendors, payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer for you like it was for our small business. Ramp gives finance teams unprecedented control and insight into company spend. With Ramp, you're able to issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions and automate expense reports so you can stop wasting time at the end of every month. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time so you don't have to. You'll never have to chase down a receipt again, and your employees will no longer spend hours submitting expense reports. The time you'll save each month, and I can vouch for this, on employee expenses will allow you to close your books 8 times faster. Ramp saves you money. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 5% the first year. Ramp is easy to use. All of those true for us at MeidasTouch. Get started, issue virtual and physical cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Meidas. MEIDAS. That's ramp, RAMP.com/Meidas, ramp.com/Meidas. Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Selton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. And he says this.
Really taken the country by storm. Very powerful person, very strong person, very courageous person, a warrior. Laura Loomer. Laura, where are you? Thank you, Laura. Great job you do.
And then at his private gatherings in Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump says this. Play the clip.
We have a lot of great friends and a lot of great people. Laura, how are you? You look so beautiful, as always. That's a woman with courage. You don't want to be Loomered. If you're Loomered, you're in deep trouble. That's the end of your career, in a sense. Thanks, Laura.
And so the person who he's praising is saying things like, this is what Laura Loomer's saying. Play the clip.
Like the way they talk and their little DEI Shaniqua voices, and it's just very piercing, very irritating sound. They all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, Letitia James, and Fani Willis. Like all of the meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious the way that they talk.
And as the Wall Street Journal editorial board wrote yesterday, that's because that is actually who Donald Trump is. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says Donald Trump likes to call people crazy Nancy Pelosi, but Donald Trump embraces Laura Loomer because that is ultimately who Donald Trump is himself. And I give the Wall Street Journal editorial board credit for writing that. They're going to have a ton of opinion pieces that look like it's owned by Rupert Murdoch that has a bunch of this nonsense that I'm showing you on Fox, but give him credit for that. Then right here, though, you have, again, I want to show you the good and the bad, mostly bad when it comes to Fox, but here they do say, look, Donald Trump was saying that the FBI was lying about their crime statistics and there's no evidence for that. In other words, he's lying. In other words, Trump lies about quite literally everything. Play the clip.
There was one point where he referenced what he sees as fudged numbers from the FBI on violent crime statistics in this country. He suggested that they omit some cities, omit some data to make the numbers look better and make it actually look like violent crime has gone down. We have no evidence to suggest that the FBI has done that. But that being said, he seems to see this as an avenue to get voters' attention, to be highlighting what is happening in some of these American cities who have been inundated with a rise of migrants.
Yeah, and no evidence to suggest that the FBI did that deliberately to make the numbers look better to support either Biden or Harris.
And here is one a voter on the Fox panel who actually has a kind of sensible and normal reaction to the debate. Let me show you this. Let's play the clip.
I thought the vice president did an amazing job. I thought she had command of the stage. I thought she was a clear winner in the debate. She riled up the former President Trump, had him talking about things that are insignificant like rally size and using fear-mongering and divisive tactics, which were not helpful to him at all.
And then let me show you this right here. This is what Governor Walz had to say at his speech yesterday, so you can compare all of this to this. Play the clip.
This is important. This is important, and you all know it. Because look, we all deal with it. Friends, neighbors, family. Oh, I like Donald Trump. You know, I don't really like how he swears and gets convicted of felonies and found liable for assaulting women. I don't really like that. Good, I'm glad you don't like that. But then they always go, I like his proposals. Which one? Taking your health care? Forcing women to bleed out in parking lots because they can't get health care? Tax cuts for billionaires? And I say this, if you're a billionaire and that's all you care about, he may be your guy. But if you're a working class person, a middle class person, a community member, I can't find much there. And the thing is, you don't have to look very far. He's not giving you much detail, except it's really great. They made it easy for us. They printed 900 plus pages in Project 2025.
And then finally, Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump's spokesperson, Fox tries to coach them into what to do. Like Murdoch tries to tell him, can you stop all this? And so Caroline Leavitt, who you heard right there, basically trying to act like, oh, well, Laura Loomer says things that he doesn't agree with. Laura Loomer, Caroline Leavitt was on the show with Fox, and let me show you what the Fox host said to her and how she responded. Here, play this clip.
Okay, Caroline, I've got a complaint. I know the campaign wants to win over Nikki Haley's voters, but I don't think you do that with name calling. For example, I take issue with Trump's new nickname for California governor, calling him New Scum. I don't think that's a good idea. I object to that kind of language. How about you?
Well, I think that what Governor Gavin Newsom has done to the once great state of California is terrible. You see real scum, real homeless people all over the streets.
Excuse me, are you okay? Are you saying it's okay to bring that kind of language to a presidential campaign? New scum? That's okay?
I think the real problem here, Stu, is the policies of the deranged Democrats from Gavin Newsom to Joe Biden
I think your
that have destroyed American communities across this country. I think your campaign has a problem with language like that. You don't agree with me, but I think your campaign has a problem with language like that. Well, I don't think voters respectfully agree with you either, Stu. If you look at the resounding wins that President Trump has received across the board.
You think you're going to win over Haley voters with language like that, do you? You win over moderates and women with language like that? Really?
I think that tells you everything right there. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers together. Thank you so much for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.